Ono što posebno raduje to je da turske investicije dalje dolaze u Srbiju.
Keep coming to Serbia. They are going up. And what is also important is that Turkish companies in Serbia employ almost 10,000 people, which is a big news for us, and we owe you a big gratitude, and also to Turkish companies that show interest for our country. What we've managed to do in the previous period will almost be visible by all the citizens of Serbia, apart from the renewal of many cultural monuments, and I would like to thank you, Mr. President, and TIKA agency. I must say that soon people will be able to enjoy in 22 kilometers road Novi Pazar-Tutin. Unfortunately, it was a road of death, very difficult road on which we lost many great people. And today it is a modern road. It is almost done. Only some small details remain to be done. And I want to thank both to Turkish workers and contractors for their efficiency and for their ideas to build this road together. I also saw bridge on Rača, which is impressive and which is also built by Turkish companies within the construction of highway through the territory of the Republic of Serbia, Kuzmin-Rača section, and we expect in a short period of time to finish this section of totally 19.1 kilometers of highway, and thereby to connect us with Bosnia and Herzegovina and Republika Srpska. It is very important for us that project documentations for Požega-Kotroman is almost done. We will have close connection to Visegrad, and I hope that our colleagues from Bosnia and Herzegovina will make a decision to start building that branch of highway towards Sarajevo in length of 107 kilometers through their territory, or a bit shorter if they change the trajectory or the route of that road. What is of utmost importance for us is that we have many projects with Turkey or the Republic of Turkey, the way you call your country and the way you expect we all call your country. And today we discussed bigger cooperation within our ministries of defense, about larger military cooperation, but also cooperation between our military industries. And I want to say this, and I'm not hiding this, I'm not embarrassed and ashamed because of this. We have never been hiding this. We want to buy UAVs Bayraktar, but the entire world would like to have them. So we are in the line, and we expect and hope that we will be able to do that next year. And our ministers had good discussions, and I believe that Serbia will be able to buy them. We managed to increase our demand for Bayraktars and to increase the amount of money starting from several dozens of millions. We are ready to move to the amount of several hundreds of millions of euro that we are ready to pay for the respective devices. And we have also started cooperation between our ministries. They are going to have joint trainings, a great advantage for our paratroopers to jump from 6,000 or 7,000 meters height. Those are completely different terms and conditions, which we have not been able to do so far, and we are really grateful to Turkey for such support. What is also important is the role of our two ministries of the interior, because they consult each other, and this relationship between Mr. Çavuşoğlu and Mr. Selakovic is a very fair one. And I'm really grateful to you, once again, Mr. President, for your support to the Open Balkan Initiative and for preserving peace and stability here in the region. What President Erdoğan and I discussed, and I wouldn't like to take much of your time, we discussed the situation in Ukraine, we discussed non-imposing and general sanctions and generally sanctions against the Russian Federation. We discussed all important issues. We discussed energy issue, and I asked President Erdoğan to help us to the extent he can. It would be a great support. I had the discussion with Ilham Aliyev. We got the consent, we got the price, we finalized everything with the Bulgarians. We are ready to get everything from the installed strength of 100 megawatts. It is 2,000 megawatt hours, which is 1/10 part of the electricity that we miss for the winter months. But of course, this cannot be done without President Erdoğan and Turkey. And I asked him to provide us the space. It's 700 megawatts, which is their space to help us, if they can, for the space for transfer of Azerbaijani electricity to Serbian territory, which would make things easier in the upcoming winter months. We discussed very long about all important issues. We discussed regional stability. We discussed how important it is to preserve peace. And we reiterated our positions both when it comes to integrity of Bosnia and Herzegovina, and I added the observance of the Dayton Peace Accords and the territory of Republika Srpska within Bosnia and Herzegovina. We discussed relations between Serbs and Bosniaks, but we also spoke about our trilateral meeting between Turkey, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Serbia, and I want to say important news to President Erdoğan. Our Chamber of Commerce and Industry decided to open their premises in Istanbul. It's going to be in December or January, which will additionally improve economic relations between our two countries. Tourism exchange reached its highest level, and I believe that this year we're going to have, again, the record number of Turkish tourists in Serbia, but also record number of Serbian tourists in Turkey, which will be above 300,000 tourists. We did not hope this much, but a huge number of Serbian citizens went to their holidays to Turkey or Greece, but speaking in percentage, Turkey and Egypt are the ones who increased their numbers significantly, speaking of Serbian tourists. And this is a great news, showing that Turkish tourism is attracting more and more Serbian tourists, which meet an exceptional quality of service. Once again, I want to thank you. We have a lot of new projects that we are going to do with Turkish companies. Many things are ahead. The two of us went through all those projects, and I'm glad that we hear more often Turkish language in our countries, that we see more and more Turkish friends in our country, and I want to tell them that they are welcome to Serbia. And we will do our best to maintain our friendship at the best and the highest possible level, to jealously safekeep it, and to be able to say that Serbia and Turkey, after the period of Mustafa Kemal Pasha Ataturk and King Alexander, we can say that this is a golden age of Serbian-Turkish relations. Thank you very much, my dear friend. For us, like I have said, it is always a special honor and a great privilege to host you in Serbia, and please feel at home here in Belgrade. Thank you, Mr. President. I kindly ask President of the Republic of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdoğan, to take the floor. Mr. President.
Cumhurbaşkanı Sayın Recep Tayyip Erdoğan'ı konuşma yapmaları için davet ediyorum. Sayın Cumhurbaşkanı, buyurunuz.
Sayın Cumhurbaşkanı,
Distinguished President, distinguished members of the delegation, distinguished members of the press, I would like to greet you all with my most heartfelt feelings and respect on behalf of myself, my delegation, and my nation. I would like to thank my dear friend, President Vucic, once again in your presence for the sincere hospitality that he has extended to us. We just had both a tete-a-tete meeting and also another meeting with our delegations, and these discussions were highly fruitful. During our discussions, we have addressed our relationships thoroughly in a comprehensive manner, and we have also addressed the steps that we will be taking in the upcoming period. Starting with the developments in Bosnia and Herzegovina, we have exchanged our views on regional and international issues. Our relations with Serbia, that are at an excellent level, are further developing every day. And the protocol that was just signed regarding travels using only ID cards will further advance our relations to a new level. And as of this year, from Serbia to our country, 300,000 tourists have arrived. And this means that starting from the moment that this travel is available only by using ID cards, the number will further increase, and that will not be the only developments. Our businessmen, the travels that they will be taking mutually will be much more easier. And following the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, Azerbaijan, Georgia, Ukraine, and Moldova, Serbia will be the 6th country where traveling with only an ID card with chip will be possible. And as you know, yesterday in Bosnia and Herzegovina, we have taken the first step towards this, and at the UN General Assembly, the agreements will be signed. Our economic and trade relations are almost like an engine for our cooperation. Our trade volume continued the stable increase tendency despite the pandemic conditions. Last year, with an increase that is above 33%, we have reached the level of around $2 billion. And in order to reach our joint target of $5 billion, I believe that we will continue working with the same determination. And we have confirmed this both during our bilateral meeting and also during the meeting with our delegations. The Turkey-Serbia Business Forum, with which we will attend with distinguished President, is actually an indicator of our will to this end. Our contractors have undertaken a total of 50 projects in Serbia so far at a value of $847 million. And on this occasion, I would like to thank my dear friend Vucic for the support that he has extended to our contractors and entrepreneurs on behalf of myself and my nation. And the Novi Pazar-Tutin State Highway, which has been constructed, is actually a work of this visionary approach of Mr. Vucic. TİKA, the Turkish Cooperation and Coordination Agency, will have completed 350 projects and activities in Serbia by the end of 2022. And we will very soon start the restoration of the Bayraklı Mosque, which is a joint historical and cultural heritage. Every year, many of our citizens that are living in Europe are traveling to Turkey using the land route, and they are accommodating in Niš city. That is why we have now our consular office in Niš that is operational. Our consular office will serve both our citizens and will further contribute to the development of commercial, economic, and cultural relationships. During our discussions, we have once again confirmed the significance that we attach to the peace and development and stability in the Balkans. And we are greatly pleased that an agreement has been reached regarding the border crossings using ID cards between Serbia and Kosovo. Starting from the number plate issue, we hope that an agreement will be reached in the shortest time possible in other problematic issues. We have always sincerely supported and will continue to support a settlement of problems through dialogue. When our help is requested, we are providing the required contribution with all our available means and with an approach that is constructive and impartial. And we are also ready to do what falls on our part for the parties to brought together in Bosnia and Herzegovina in a format where there's conciliation among the three communities. With these thoughts in mind, in concluding my remarks, I wish that this visit will lead to auspicious results for our countries and our region, and I would like to once again thank my dear friend President Vucic for his sincere hospitality on behalf of myself, my delegation, and my nation. Thank you.
Thank you, President Erdoğan. Now we can move to the questions. Unfortunately, due to further obligations, we have time for 2 questions for each speaker. Colleague from Turkish Radio Television, Recep Turanoğlu.
Yoğun programları dolayı lütfen birer soru alalım. Türkiye Radyo Televizyon, Recep Turanoğlu.
Rasi Turanoğlu from TRT. Mr. President, you have referred to the durable peace in this Balkan atmosphere, and we believe that this 3-day visit is an indication of that. But in the past, there has been tensions in this region, and we have seen that the tension has been reduced. So, what is the perspective that you have taken in terms of your deliberations in this visit, and what is going to be the upcoming developments between Kosovo and Serbia? In order to overcome this challenge, we have mentioned that we are ready to support in any way we can to reach a solution. But as you have referred to yourself, we have seen positive developments, and I hope that there is this positive acceleration which is going to be sustained in Balkans, because Balkans cannot tolerate these type of problems anymore.
Thank you. We can move to the radio television of Serbia, Tamara Stojsaljevic. Good afternoon. I have a question for both presidents. First of all, for President Erdoğan. What do you think, whose fault is this difficult situation in Europe because of the war in Ukraine and because of the energy crisis, and how can this situation be overcome? And for the President of Serbia, how do you interpret this morning's speech by the Russian President Vladimir Putin, who warned that Europe and the world are to face a disaster? And what can it mean? How can it reflect to our country? And the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, announced new measures for resolving energy crisis. She said that Russia is the one who is manipulating the energy market, and that Russia is no longer a reliable supplier for the EU, and they are turning to new suppliers, Norway, Algeria, Azerbaijan, United States. How do you comment that she announced new measures for electricity supply, for electricity savings? How can that reflect on our country? Thank you very much.
First and foremost, as Turkey, we have always followed a policy of balance between Russia and Ukraine. And we will continue to do the same in the upcoming period. We will have this balanced policy in between 2 countries. I don't have to name any names. I don't have to give any names. There are several countries for which we believe in the West that the approach is not correct. There is a policy which is based on incitement. That is actually the kind of policy followed by the West. So when you are to spend these kinds of policies based on provocation, then of course you cannot get any results. You cannot reach results. And indeed, if we are to have a look at the situation, can you name any winners of such kind of a war? There is no winners in this war, but I believe that there are a lot of losers, a number of losers. People are losing their lives. There is not, let alone the monetary result of this war. And when we are to talk about the monetary results, well, someone says that I have supported Ukraine with this amount of money, and the other one is talking about this amount of financial support, but you can see no results. So then we can see that it is just words. I hope the translation is correct in that sense, as I have referred to a Turkish idiom. So we have been hearing that a number of ammunition weapons are being sent, and whatever scraps there are, these kinds of scraps are being sent to Ukraine. This being the case, I cannot say Russia is the winner. I cannot say Ukraine is the winner. But up until so far, we have been carrying out a certain policy. We are trying to look for ways and understand if this war between Ukraine and Russia will end soon. And I can see that it doesn't look like to be ending soon. And I would like to also refer to the ones who are actually undermining Russia. Russia, you're doing wrong. You should not undermine Russia. So Russia has stopped supplying natural gas. All of a sudden, prices have increased in Europe. So now everybody is contemplating, everybody is trying to look for ways. How are we to leave behind? What are we going to do this winter? Why haven't you thought of this before? Well, Russia has this important asset, so you should have thought of this before. But you have not thought of all these potential developments before. And now you're checking what the stocks are, what level the stocks are. So this is now being discussed only now. And when all people are having this aggressive approach towards Russia, what do they have to do? They are to use what kind of weapons they have on their side, of course. Our hope is that they will reach a solution and there's going to be an end to this war. And when this war ends, the world will reach again peace and peaceful times. This is our hope.
Thank you, President Erdoğan. The ones who listened carefully could actually notice the depth of understanding of the problems that we are facing, all that could have been heard and seen in President's words. I'll try to answer your question. Of course, I want to thank for always having time to consider the situation in the region, regardless of our differences regarding Kosovo and Metohija or Pristina. The way you put it, President Erdoğan was always the one who insisted on peace, stability, and on finding diplomatic solutions, and I want to thank him for the respective. Speaking of two questions, if I understood you well, one is President Putin's statement, and I saw it a bit in the live broadcasting. I couldn't see all that. I was listening to it on Russian. I didn't see any translation, but I believe that I understand Russian quite well. I would like to define it in the following way. This winter, regarding all of us, is going to be very cold. And if you listen carefully, I believe that the next winter is going to be a polar winter for the entire Europe, and because it seems to me that nobody wants a solution. And to put what President Erdoğan said in different words, I believe that defeat of the other side is being expected instead of compromise. And if you really believe that in military terms you will easily win Russia, well, what remains to us is to get ready quite well for both cold and polar winter. Speaking about the EU measures, I know that everybody is attacking the European Union, but I saw 5 measures. I didn't understand quite well the 5th measures, how they're going to put the cap on the gas price, but all these 4 previous measures are good measures and reasonable measures. We'll try to see what we can do on that matter to discuss with the Europeans and with the, I'm in touch with the Prime Minister of Albania. We're trying to write a letter to the European Commission, a joint letter within the open Balkan countries, to ask for support and help for the import of electricity during winter period, and to see what we have to do. Because if the entire European Union is implementing saving measures, we cannot just spill our assets around. But we're going to discuss about those measures and everything in more details tomorrow. We'll have to make many important decisions because the autumn is neither going to be easy, and the winter is going to be even harder. And since many laughed at me when I was speaking about this in May and June, and now it seems as a salvation, the fact that we bought gas in June and May, because now, if it were differently, we would be facing a disaster in the gas market, and we have this annex that we signed with the Russians, and if we hadn't built the gas pipeline without the Balkan Stream and the Turk Stream, we would not have had the gas. We would have 8 to 12 hours electricity shortages, but as you can see, we don't have that. Because one part of the electricity is being compensated through Novi Sad plant, which is operating on gas. We are going to see to work with the thermal power plant Zrenjanin or Pančevo because they have small installed power of 14 megawatts. To try if we can fix those terminals, and it's a really difficult period for all of us, but what I've seen that Europe is getting ready for this seriously, and I hope that we will be able to implement something. The best thing would be if the war stopped, if the war ended, and for both sides to reach compromise solutions. But I don't want to be stupid in front of my friends. I don't think it's possible to happen, just to tell you this immediately, because I know well what is going on and how much someone wants the defeat of somebody else, and instead of balance of powers or compromise solution. Once again, if this is the end, I want to thank President Erdoğan for his fairness and for something that he's been showing to our country always. It is a man who really takes care of and shows respect for our territorial and, speaking in terms of inhabitants, small country, but we are obliged to show a great respect for Turkey and always respond in the same manner. Once again, I want to thank all the ministers in the government of Turkey and Serbia. I want to thank all those who are working in our country, and once again to invite all the citizens, all the Turks, to come to Serbia as often as possible and to feel here really like home. And we will do our best to be good hosts, and we invite also our people to travel not only to Istanbul and Ankara, but to travel also to all other places, because they can see how much progress this great country made under the leadership of President Erdoğan, and how much we can learn and take from them. Thank you very much, dear President. Thank you, President. Thank you, President Erdoğan. Dear colleagues, thank you. We hereby end our press conference. Thank you.